Let's dive into the discussions shaping the nation.
Good, last count holder, I too am glad to be able to speak on this motion here tonight. And on Kate Dulces, I'd like to say that my company do work for Irish Water. Used to do it for county councils, and it transferred over to the being that was created in Irish Water, which is an entity I don't have any faith in. They're just not no understanding of the serious problems that we have. And yet, and the last speaker mentioned, or somebody mentioned, water is going to be very scarce this year because we can see the rivers and streams so early in the year are so low at this point in time. And there will be water outages and everything else, but the waste of water, and indeed the waste of water by consumers, but the waste of water by Irish Water and the leakages, and people ringing up and trying to report leaks, and frustrating to see big leaks. And the waste in this city of water is just outrageous. I think, 40% plus of the water, one of the worst in the world, in comparison to some third world countries, are not as bad. And the fact that they're going to now pipe water from Shannon to Dublin, something I have strongly opposed, up to a leaky system where it can be contaminated inwards again from those leaks. If it leaks out, pollutants can leak back into the system. But it's just madness to think that they wouldn't look at doing those repairs. They missed a golden opportunity during COVID, when the streets were quiet and the roads were quiet, and to do that kind of work. But they say they want more cash, and I met them last night in Clonmel Park Hotel, and my colleagues, I think, met them as well. A team from Clonmel to tell us about they're bringing in water from Monroe, a hard water system, where the north of Clonmel has it already, and is crippling on families and businesses with the hard water, the lime in the water from the borehole. First of all, the borehole hasn't an infinite life. It's subject to outages for the power cuts. It was out for 3 or 4 days about 2 months ago because there was outages. They couldn't, unexplained outages. They're spending 21 million, I think, bringing it into the town of Clonmel to give it to all of the town. Now, the town of Clonmel has been serviced by Denari and by Portavanogue schemes. They're both based in County Waterford, but that's the system on the river. The County Waterford is there. And Portavanogue scheme was built by the British, an excellent, wonderful mountain stream supply, a treatment plant here that was maintained by Johnny Haptigan for decades, and other Water Council, Tipperary Council employees, Clonmel Corporation employees actually at the time, and looked after and nourished. It's flowing down the hill into Clonmel. My own office is on it. And the whole centre of the town is on it. And the water, I don't believe, was once ever, I think, a buying notice on it. So they're telling us now that the EPA want higher standards. The EPA want ridiculously high standards. The new plants that they've built, first of all, they're disconnecting that up there. I've described that as an act of vandalism, a wonderful supply to keep. And they have a reservoir in the Ragwell that they could, say it's leaky, they're doing an examination on it, fill that from that scheme and have it as an extra backup. They're depending on a pump to pump all the water into Clonmel. They're going to pump it up to Giant's Grave to fill a reservoir that newly constructed there some years ago. But we're depending on a pumping system. And the business in Clonmel and the households in Clonmel won't know what hit them when this water comes in, maybe September or whenever they're going to connect to it. They don't know if the facilitation works, and at the moment, so they won't know what hit them because the damage to all the equipment. We can see what happens to kettles and other utensils, whatever about the fine machines they have, and technically the highest machines for cook and bake and you name it. Everything else, all restaurants, hairdressers, you name it. And there'll be enormous problems, and they refuse point blank to put in a softener at the plant at source, which they could do, plenty of space there, but they won't. And they still expect businesses to pay for this water, and it's going to do damage. So there's going to be unbelievable issues. Apart from the fact that all through last year in Clonmel, and a very wet summer, we had outages day in, day out, as in the system that we have with the three sources, Denari, Portavanogue, and indeed my rovers are north of the town, and the Alphin Regional Water Scheme comes into the west of the town as well. But it's so hard to deal with Irish Water on the ground. They had a wonderful network of supervisors Tipperary County Council had, and South Tipperary County Council and Clonmel Borough Council. They knew every pipe, every stopcock, every air valve. The lads in Irish Water don't want to know. I wouldn't engage with people who are retiring for them. They asked, I know some of them have told me that they went 6 months before they left to tell whoever's taken over, come along with us. We know where all the valves are and the network and understand it. No. And you're talking then to people with the reps and everything else. It's just, you're talking to people that are doing their jobs, but they don't know the system. They don't know where the weakages are and the strong points are. But fundamentally, The reason is it's more and truer. They're not listening. If you East of Anya. Last night there was 10 strong members of Irish Water there for 2 hours telling about all the what great word they used, consolidation, and they've raised these buzzwords, but simply. I honestly have to say they don't understand what they're doing. And fundamentally, that's the problem. And I have called numerous times for them to be stood down and give it back to the county council. I know this motion, people might say, I'm going away from the motion, there's an issue about water, and I heard, I'm like himself, Deputy Gogarty, people should get a fair, reasonable supply of water, and after that, what is wasted, there should be charges for it. Because at the moment, businesses are paying for water in and paying for water out, and it's not very fair on those. And they pay it, and they have to pay it, and that's fine. They use a lot more of it, but the situations of water in many parts of the country, and in these sewer systems and wastewater, there's an awful lot to be desired. And the entity that we know as Ishkayan, I think, is a failed entity set up by Phil Hogan, and it hasn't served the purpose it can stand. I don't believe it will succeed.
Right, Deputy Healy.
Like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.